Um, all right. So we were just talking about The Wire. So life after The Wire. I always forget you had this part of your life where you moved to Atlanta and you lived with like black royalty.
Yeah, yeah. I,
Janet.
yeah. I was signed. Did that whole thing. Uh, and
It's so deaf.
yeah, yeah. It was Def Jam. Island, it was Island Def Jam. So Def. So
You
yeah,
how old were you? Wait, how old were you for The Wire for that?
14. So I was living with JD and Janet right before I went down to do The Wire.
And did you get offered? Or did you get to audition?
No audition. And so basically,
Okay.
I was like out in Atlanta being bad or whatever. So I got sent back home. But when I got sent back home, I went into an audition for The Wire. Like,
Wait, you got sent back home by was home LA for you by that point or no?
no, Chicago.
Okay. Well, you got sent back home by Janet and JD?
Yeah, yeah. Well, by
What were
JD.
you doing?
I
What were
mean,
you doing?
there's nothing, just being, being a kid running around. Because also, I remember, like, I was living with them, so it wasn't like I was like,
Wait, was Bow Wow? Were you with Bow Wow too?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like me and him hung out all the time back in
You
back.
know, it's so funny when you said that like the like you were the first person that a lot of people saw their age who was performing.
Yeah,
For me, that was Bow Wow. Like,
yeah.
just I mean, I wasn't an actor, right? But just seeing like a rapper, like,
I
'cause
mean, yeah,
I listen to rap, right? So seeing a rapper my age, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
yeah. Like he's wild.
Um,
He's like he was doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
yeah. So that, so
So what was the, so were so what kind of trouble were you? Because I have to feel like JD and Janet have to be pretty liberal guardians. So
yeah.
you must have been going.
Just running around with Bow Wow, like what I mean. I still had to go to school and stuff out in Atlanta, and I was like, what I mean, like slagging off a little bit, like I had to. I was trying to go a bunch of places, just kids stuff, but
Yeah, but you're 14. You can't. Can y'all drive? I mean, in Houston, we started driving at like 15 and a half.
yeah, no, 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 I can drive, and I was only like 12, 13. I was like 13, and then when I after that I got sent home, and then I ended up getting The Wire, and I shot that.
That's a blessing. That's a huge
Yeah,
blessing.
so it was incredible. And then it was like, oh, he got something hot. So now I went back down to Atlanta and I started working on my project, doing whatever. Then I had a Sweet 16. And then after
Were you
that,
on my Super Sweet 16?
yeah, yeah, on MTV.
You're the second. So I don't know if you know Etienne. He was on my Super Sweet 16
Oh
too. I
yeah,
think
yeah, he was.
he was on Baldwin Hills. He's
I
also on my
didn't
Super.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who performed at yours? Because I know I think his it was Talib Kweli, Talib
Talib
Kweli.
Kweli.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kweli. Yeah,
So it was for me. It was supposed to be Bow Wow, but him and JD was beefing at the time.
they're
Because
beefing now.
exactly. This is around the time of the Omarion and Bow Wow album.
Oh, that's a good time.
Yes, is yeah, yeah, but it was a nightmare getting that made for like yeah. So but then basically Bow I ended up doing it, and so then we had Jibs, Chain Hang Low.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he had a hot song. It's funny.
Yeah.
I forget. I always forget. I always forget that you did music. But I feel like how do I put this nicely? Like a lot of like artists of all people who can kind of be difficult, artists are often up there,
Oh
like
yeah,
more so than actors, more so than I'm trying to think of
but
other type of
for
performers because
artists,
everything revolves around you as a rapper. Everything revolves around you. Everybody moves when you move.
artists be realer though. Like that's the one thing I don't like about like I like music. Don't get me wrong, music industry is full of bullshit too, but it's not the same politically correct bullshit.
It's Hollywood.
Film is just like everybody's full of shit. Like everybody's full of shit. Like it's okay. Like it's the standard. Like it's literally the standard. Like even the people who like yeah, it's like I'm friends with more producers and writers and mostly producers and like artists than I am like actors, generally
Mm.
speaking.
And
The
like,
actors,
and to
the
be
actors
fair,
I lock in with though, I lock in with, but they
yeah.
usually don't act like actors. They act more like what I mean. They almost act more like musicians.
Yeah, and like to be fair, I'm playing a bit of a broad brush. I do think like because I hit up Jadena to do the podcast, and he's like, I text him, he's like, oh yeah, like sure, whatever. So I think like there are actors, not to like name drop, but there are artists who are kind of and like all my interaction with Drake have been been very positive. Like there are there are artists who are very nice and whatever. I just think on the whole,
I mean,
and
they can be more difficult and they can make things a little bit harder to do because they run the whole infrastructure and they know
exactly everything.
hand and foot for them, opposed
Yeah,
to a show or being like. But I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Like everybody's unimportant until they're important.
yeah. Well, and also a show like the only way you could kind of run things as a show is if you're the number one on the call sheet, right? So only one actor is the top person on the call sheet. So and most actors aren't, right? Just by the obviously only one actor is. And so I think actors can get like like actors can be a little bit more amenable versus an artist like that walkthrough, whatever it is, the walkthrough, the club appearance, the show. Everybody's waiting on you and just you.
Yeah, and not only that, most of the people who are waiting are paying, not being paid. So that's another
Oh
difference.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. I
that's
mean,
like
yeah,
why
yeah. That's very
that's why
that's
artists can be that way.
yo. That's so true because you're right. Like if you're an actor, even if you keep people waiting, the people who are waiting, they're getting paid,
They're
right?
getting
So yeah,
paid to it. So
yeah, like
it is
sure, I'm
what it
getting
is.
overtime. I mean, well, as a writer, I'm not getting over. I mean, I get paid a lot of money, but not overtime. But like the grips, the electricians, the people on set,
Yeah,
whoever you're keeping waiting.
guess what? The longer you make us wait, the longer it's going to take for us to wrap up, which means the longer we're going to be in overtime because it's going to take us time to wrap this shit up when we're done. So,
Yeah, but
yeah,
artists, the people who are waiting on you, they paid.
they
So
pay you
yeah,
to
it's
wait on.
that's so true.
Or it's a venue that you don't really care about, which is just happy to have you anyway. It's not
Yeah, yeah,
Warner Brothers, who you're paying the rent on the soundstage you're on, and you're paying the people
yeah,
on the set, and you're paying the hair
yeah.
and makeup, and you're paying.
Yeah. Although I know some artists, like if you're late, they will like you can't go overtime for certain certain venues. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I just think artists. Okay, I'll say this. I remember like when I moved to LA and I was starting to write for Blackish. I remember I expected it was gonna be like you can't look at the actors in the face. You can't look at
Yeah,
Tracy or like, and it was like everybody was mad cool. Like they were. I mean, everybody except for Tracy and Lawrence followed me on Instagram like right like off in the first few weeks.
yeah,
Like it was all, and also I was like closer in age to a lot of the actors than I was to the other
so that
writers. So
makes
like me and Yara were really cool. Me and Marcus. Um, and like if anything, it was almost the opposite. Like I'm sure you know that like on films, the director's king. On
yeah,
TV, the writer's king, right? And so they were like, it was like the opposite. Like we were kind of like even, or be the opposite. We're like they're trying to get cool with us. They think, oh, like I don't know if it was like that way in The Wire, but it's like if I get cool with this writer, he's gonna give me better storylines. He's gonna give me more jokes.
yeah. See,
Um,
well, it's not like that with dramas. Like
yeah,
dramas,
I mean, but no, the thing is, it's not even like that. Like TV's so collaborative. Like I can see maybe if they got cooler with like maybe they're like, if I got cool with Kenya, like he's the
yeah,
showrunner, maybe, but just like us, like, it's so collaborative. I think it's funny. Like I'd be like, yo, y'all really think? But they were so they like. I mean, I think they're also just nice people. But I
yeah,
think they also were like, oh, like it was just very even footed. But I feel like with artists, you're more, and even certain big time producers, you're kind of more likely to get that sort of like, not like don't look at me or anything, but just sort of like I'm better than you.
yeah. But you know, but a lot of times that just be them with their own bullshit, like in their
Yeah,
own head because they don't really feel like they better than you. Like okay, so even
yeah,
with actors and stuff who pull that whole card, like they're actors. They're you get paid to be emotional. So that also means you're dealing with
well, yeah, I agree. I think
emotional
also,
people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's a gift and a curse in a lot of ways with all this shit. It's like you know what I mean? Like the guy who is making the instrumental for the person who's supposed to be the artist isn't always supposed to be famous, and that's why they be weird. See what I'm
yeah.
saying?
No,
It's
that's true.
like,
That's true.
like
Um,
every actor is like your whole job is seeking acceptance.
that's I mean, and that's why
The
you're right.
whole job, bro. Like
A lot of actors are a little bit can be insecure. I mean, also that you get told no a lot. You're also your appearance matters a lot. So yeah, no,
it's a very
it's a
vain
lot.
industry. It's like same you could attest it to almost kind of like modeling, like the same idea. So it's kind of like
Yeah, and
you don't
I mean, I
always
always
date
yeah,
as
and I always thought
rejection. Like
and I always thought it made sense why so many models become actors, right? Like you're in front of a camera, you're performing, you're being judged on your
yeah,
appearance. Like it's very
and if you're good looking, then it's like we're gonna give people gonna at least want to look at you. Like all
yeah,
else
exactly. I'll
cool.
watch.
I'll
I
watch.
mean,
Yeah,
you see it now. I mean, not to when, like certain rappers, like with the and look, they can rap too, but a lot of the the woman rappers, right? Where it's
oh
like,
yeah,
where's that
they're
line?
bad.
She rapping, she had 10 and she raps, she got on mute like that. Like it's people at the end of the day. I remember somebody tweeted, and I no shade to Ice Spice, like Munch is a fire song. I remember somebody tweeted like she posted like a TikTok, and someone was like, "Man, every time I want to turn off the music, she starts twerking again."
But I mean, they know what they got to their advantage. It's just how long does that work?
Yeah, and like
But
obviously
but
you have to
but
like,
hey, if you get
yeah.
your money while it works, who cares, right?
Oh, that's true. I remember, and speaking of get your money while it works, I remember like there was a time when Kevin Hart was just in everything. And I remember one thing that somebody told me, and I think you see it now, like Kenya is writing everything left and right. I said, yo, you don't know how long they're gonna love you. Like you don't know
Yeah.
how long the industry's so fickle. Like if these white
Or
folks,
the
not
tone
even white folks,
shift
if these
change.
companies if they want to keep giving you money to keep making shows and keep
Make it.
doing specials and keep putting you in
Also,
movies,
if
take
you're
it.
smart, you remember when they weren't. So I think
Oh,
that's the biggest thing. Like even with myself, like I know when jobs are just being handed. I know the eras when jobs were like, oh, being more sought after and fought for. I know it. But at the end of the day, when you go through those other periods, it makes you like, oh, when you just getting offers for X, Y, and Z, you're like,
oh
ah,
yeah,
damn,
I remember like
I'm
there
gonna
are
be
people who
prepared because I appreciate this, opposed to you making me go scrap for some shit that we all know I can do. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
you
Yeah,
gotta.
there are people who are like, oh, he's gonna make a grownish and a mixedish and a blackish and a yellow. I'm like, bro, I keep making them issues. I think
Yeah,
one time he said in an
this
interview
ish
like his
work,
kid,
man.
yeah, his kids was like, yo, he said his kids kind of I think read something about him in the newspaper or the magazine. And he's like, yo, you should when we stop making issues, that's when you should worry. Like he was
Facts,
like that's when you should
facts,
worry.
facts.
But no, that's funny. So also, wait, talk about Ron being a child actor. I know y'all get this Coogan account, right? And like
Right.
I asked Jackson about this because basically, if you're not in the industry, basically a Coogan account, enough child actors got screwed over by their parents or by managers or whatever, or momagers, man, whatever. That now a certain amount of your money has to go into an account that you can't touch until you turn 18.
Teacher.
And I remember I used to think it was like all the money down there because I just know that I heard some of y'all turn
It's
18
like
and y'all
50%.
get a good.
40, 50%.
It's 50.
I think it's 50.
See, okay, so did you like what did you get when you? I mean, I'm sure that was a nice little chunk of change by the
Yeah,
time you
well, you
turned
know, it's
18.
funny. Like all my up until a certain age, that my parents just put all my stuff away because there was not like they had jobs, so it was kind of
Right.
like
Oh
they're
yeah,
not.
they weren't. Yeah. So what did you wild out like when you turned 18 and you got
Nah,
it?
not. I mean, yeah, I've had my wild out things that I've done, but like not like that because it was more like consistent, just lifestyle things. Like I'm the kind of person I'll have I'll have a bigger house than I need, but I won't have like I'm not riding around in a Range Rover. Whereas like
Right.
you know in LA, you got niggas who riding around in Range Rovers and G wagons and they ain't no 14. Like I've always been that kind of guy. So like I
Oh
might
yeah,
have
I
been
was dumb. I bought a G wagon as soon as I landed at the airport and I bought a G wagon like literally,
and
and I
that's
was
fine.
23, and
That's fine.
I was like it was a
But
very silly purchase.
here's the other difference though. You also we're talking about you who was still fresh off of doing like corporate financial whatever jobs. So different kind of I'm setting shit up because you know fucking finance. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, no,
Whereas
that's real.
the nigga who goes and buys a G wagon and he's an actor, that don't make a whole lot of sense because we
Yeah,
don't know how hot you're gonna be in the next, or you're just like a rapper who just got signed. Like then it
yeah.
don't make sense.
But
Like
what's funny is like writing is not the same as that, but writing does it ebbs and flows. Like you be on a
yeah,
show, you won't be on a show. So, but no, I think it's funny. I feel like actors low key surprisingly do. No, okay, maybe it's just a selection bias, but I've seen actors do well with money where I think that they know, like because I think y'all know it comes like the money comes and goes.
yeah.
Because I've seen actors
Also,
where I'm like, yo, oh, this
yeah.
is your house, like they
Also,
bought
how many
property.
actors you really? And I'm just, and some people might not like this statement, but let's just be realistic. If your ass is acting 9 times out of 10, okay, 8 times out of 10, you probably went to school for this, which means you could afford to go to school. And then the other 9 times out of 10, when maybe you didn't go to school for it, you still, you're not as broke as some nigga who was rapping.
Yeah, no, that's
You
real.
know,
That's real.
you see what I'm saying? Even the fact that you can read as well as you can read to say these fucking lines, bro. You come from a different social economic background in which at least education was pressed upon you. Like, and then let's also just be completely real too. We see where people lose the money in music a lot of times, but we know who that is, and we know who those people are, and we're not the majority of actors.
Yeah, no, that's
So
true. I mean, in
we're
acting, I
talking
mean,
about people who come from like actually under like actually understand. Like if you probably broke down every actor who's successful who came from like, if we're talking like Little Wayne beginnings, like bro, you're probably a handful.
Yeah, no, that's real. I mean, it's
You know
funny.
what I mean? Like people
Yeah,
at least had like, if it wasn't a 2 parent household, they mom had a good job, like, or like some kind of job where it was like, like a respectable, like,
you're like a teacher or something.
yeah, like you,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you have those random occurrences where but it's just I just feel like even to be able to play the politically correct game that is necessary as a human being to get through certain doors in this game, you can't even be a certain kind of person or they won't let you in unless you are popping already for something else. And then they'll act like you're the
And
second
you're right, and that's so true because acting Hollywood, you have to get sign off by these like I think with
yeah,
music, you have to get like you have to be hot. You have to make something hot, right? You could make something hot, like you could be in Atlanta, be in the streets or something, have somebody behind you who's paying it, but get your music played in the strip club, and
it's
you pop
different.
off. To act, you have to have somebody who doesn't look like you usually. It's some sort of, like all these. I remember, I'll be at table reads at Blackish, and like there's the current exec, and there's
That's
like
what
there's
I
just
mean.
these
Yeah.
different executives who
They have
are
to buy
suits.
into you, and then you have to schmooze and talk with them and do the whole. And like, bro, if you can't keep up with them, like, and let's be real, like you've been on, like, I'm sure you've seen both sides of the coin, where like you've probably seen relatives who like have one conversation and then you see the conversations you having when you over here, and it's like, yo, to be able to like, most people can't even like world switch or code switch like that. It takes people years to learn how to even do that. To be, like I said, once again, in a position where it's like, oh no, we can make him a leading man. And
Right.
once again, like I said, to be able to play all these different kind of roles, like, oh, you're gonna play a doctor? Like, how many people you really think are out here learning doctor lines who didn't do well in school?
Yeah, I mean, acting
Like,
is just a different. It's a
it's a whole
different thing.
reading scripts. How you want to get through a 300 or your 200 some page script? You never got through a 200-page book. Let's just
And
be
them
real.
and changing like the lines and remembering your. I mean, I remember one time I thought I was gonna pull an Issa Rae, Lena Dunham. Like I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna be in it. Like I did a short. I wanted it was like short films. I was gonna make and try and do like a longer thing, like one of those dating type of
Yeah.
Love Jones almost type of things. And I remember Keith Powers was in it, and I was like, I'm gonna just be the best friend. And bro, it was so hard to act. Bro, I was like, yo, I thought acting was some. Cause I'm like Lawrence Fishburne does it. They look so easy. Anthony
Oh
Anderson
yeah.
doesn't look so easy. I think I gain a lot of respect from acting that day because I'm like I'm over here, I'm also paying for everything because I'm shooting. So I'm like over here dragging my like wasting time, like costing myself money because I'm over here trying. Because the thing is, I always just thought about you have to remember the lines. So I was like, okay, remember like the lines, say the lines. But it's like you have to also say the lines and then say it. Like if every time I say the line, I'm sitting down. I have to say it sitting down every time, right? If I say the line as I'm sitting down, just for the cuts to match and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't say it as I'm sitting down each time, right? Like, or just like basically hitting your mark. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
Your
oh,
marks.
like
Yeah.
do it. So it's not just remembering the lines. It's like remembering the lines and then remembering the actions and then doing the same actions as you do the line. I'm like, yo, I mean, y'all got it. Y'all got it. Like,
Yeah. And like, and I also think it's a certain, I think it's a personality too. Like it's people who usually are actors. They have these like really big personalities usually, or they have like some really distinct look that gives them a character in which they play into. Like, it's I think it's harder to, it's like a good performer because it's still a performance. Like, it's like a good performer. Like, you can only be so much of an introvert if you're about to go on stage in front of 30,000 people and rock.
yeah, that's.
Like,
I mean,
even if, oh, what's it?
no, let's say, well, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, even if you are an introvert, like, it's still, you have to have some mechanism in you that maybe you just don't show all the time, but that can bring that out. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a different, and prime example. Most of the people who can do that, most of the people who can act, once again, they couldn't work on Wall Street. It's like, you see what I'm saying? It's, or they can't write. Like, it's like a whole
Yeah,
different
writing is it's funny.
split switch in your
I
mind.
always encourage folks to write, but then sometimes it's like I'm sure this happens to you when you see actors. Like I'll encourage people to write because I think it's so easy. But then like you read stuff and you're like, oh, like you don't like. Is there certain things? It's the same way like I can't act. Certain people just can't write.
Yeah, no facts.
Like
Yeah. And once again, I think that's like it's bro, it's a real. How much have you read? Like, I'm dead serious, bro. Like, it's hard to write if you don't read a lot or you have not read a lot throughout
yeah,
your life. If you have read a lot, it is much easier to read anything and is much easier to write things because you understand how things are worded. Prime example, I've never had a problem. English was what I did the best in all my classes. I've never had a problem composing an email that sounded like professional and well. Like there were just things I never had a problem with, but I never had math wasn't as good. But like I never had a problem with those things because I just realized like growing up, it's like, oh right, bro, you've been even if you like I did read books and stuff too, like the Harry
Yeah,
Potter.
yeah.
But I've been reading scripts and reading stuff for so long that it's just like, oh, how many times have I had to read something, put it in front of me, and read it back with an inflection, but as I'm reading it, it becomes second
Well,
nature. You don't
did
do
you
this
go to
shit.
school? Did you train? Because I remember one of the first things I learned like years ago that like before I was ever in the industry that like Morgan Freeman has an acting coach. You know, Brad Pitt, the people who you think, you know, Denzel Washington. I remember he used to blow my, but I think now I'm like, wait, like, you know, LeBron James has a coach, right? The Lakers have a coach.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
KD has a coach.
well,
Like
it's
people, you
different.
know,
Like coaches and then classes. Like a coach is coaching you for characters. I feel like most of the time, or they're coaching you for the role, which I think is definitely useful. Classes are more like I've never taken classes, but it's
so
just
you're a
because
natural.
yeah, well, and not only that, I've been doing it so long, and I started so young. A lot of the shit that like I learned a lot of stuff just on job training. Like I like literally I've been put in the situations, I figured it out. You know what I mean? Um, and I feel like classes are a bit more broad. Whereas like coaching though, I would get it for certain roles. You know what I mean?
Did
Like
you get it for The Wire?
well, they had Robert Chu. He coached us for like the first few episodes.
Did y'all? I mean, because y'all, I'm sure didn't know each other, right? Like you
Yeah,
and
yeah, we didn't
Mac
know each other,
and
but
like
we were like together all the time, and like
yeah, because
we
y'all.
like
I mean,
gelled
y'all
really quick.
sold that like the school, and I mean,
But
it's fine. I
but
remember all the.
they had us going to school and shit together at the time, so we would be doing
Uh,
our schooling at the same time all the time. And as the
thought,
show went on, they had us like they started to separate us more. So then so the show
oh,
grew more on camera. It was really clever. Also, we would get the scripts the week before they come out, so and we wouldn't know what was in them. So it was like you don't know you do this week, you didn't know what it was going to be until next week.
I feel like so. I remember because Mac's character went heavy into the streets. He kills. I mean, spoiler, he kills Snoop.
Yeah.
Your character wasn't so much in the streets though, right?
No, no. Well, he wasn't in the streets in the beginning, and then he ends up going back to the group home. And then once he gets
Oh
back
yeah,
to the
yeah.
group home, he just he kind of just gives up. It's one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that season's always ranked pretty high. Like, I feel like the Doc one's kind of ranked pretty low amongst. I mean,
Yeah.
super fans like the Doc one, but most
If you
people,
watched it more than twice, then like the doc one starts to grow on you because you're like, I get it, but
yeah, people see how it ties into the whole thing. I still
yeah,
don't really,
but it wasn't.
but I love. I mean, season one. Then I think three is the one where Avon dies, right? I think. And you're five, right?
Stringer dies.
Oh yeah, yeah, Stringer, my bad. And you're five, right? The
I'm
kids.
four,
Four. Oh, okay,
and then
okay. I can.
I'm in the episode of 5. That's when they wrap everything up.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when Wallace died. That was sad.
yeah, that's season 1. Or,
That
yes,
season was. Oh, and Bodie died too. That was a good.
yeah,
That's nothing where it's like, yo, I feel like you're right. Like it's funny that you said that people haven't really had the careers you think they should. Cause like Bodie,
yeah.
I'm like, why isn't he in everything? Like he was like Bodie's
Bro,
a character that we remember forever.
JD Williams, man, incredible actor, bro. Like,
Yeah, I feel like why
it
isn't
was
he in
just
more?
like,
Maybe he is. Maybe I'm just not
no, he's
seeing
in.
it.
I
But
know he was recently in the Have Nots, and I know he's doing things on. He got like his podcast, and like niggas still hustling. But
yeah,
it's just like,
people be on Broadway too. I don't know if he is, but one thing I noticed, like a lot of people, like I was in New
a
York
lot of
for the
people do
first time
go
in a long time.
because they come from a lot of people come from stage. So
Yeah, I
then
was in New York for the first time in like 5 years recently, and people are like, oh, I think like Common's on Broadway on something, and so like I'm like, all these people are on. I'm like, yo, I
yeah,
don't even. I forget that Broadway even exists. Like
they're
being
trying
not in New York.
they're trying to put get it back going because
Oh yeah, the pandemic. Well,
yeah,
no, I mean,
and they need to because it's like it's
well,
a
I'm
hard.
sure a lot of people got their start on Broadway too.
Yeah, but it's a hard industry too because like you can only go see it if you go see it in an era where people are barely going to the movies. It's hard to
Yeah,
convince
I
somebody
mean,
to see a
but
play, and
New York
kids
still has.
aren't exposed to it for real unless your parents really exposed to it. Like
Oh, and it's money.
And
It's
that's
money.
my
I mean,
point. Like, so it's so inaccessible. Like the people, the elites who like theater now, and the thespians who like love theater and believe it's the gateway to like television acting or whatever, they all need to like continue. Their next generation need to continue to support it and do it the same way.
well, it reminds me almost of like I think it was Samuel L. Jackson who got into it with about all these roles going to British actors, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
all these I don't know. I think it might have been. I don't know if it was about Queen and Slim or what it was about, but all these kind of American, these, whatever.
Black roles
And
going.
yeah, and I think you think about like obviously about Eat Yourself, but also they can all we can do they can do our accent, we can't do their accent. Although I'm kind of British too, but you can't they can't. I'm Nigerian, so I'm British, but they can't like I think they have that kind of thespian sort of classically trained thing
Yeah,
going for them.
and let's just be real. It sounds better and it seems more eloquent, so people like it. Like, I mean, if we're
Yeah.
just gonna be honest, and most of them, I won't lie, are incredible actors. So I can't
Yeah, no,
even.
that's true. I mean, Kaluuya, Daniel
Yeah,
Kaluuya, like,
like
I
bro, a
mean,
lot of
Get
them do
Out, like, he was so good in Get
fantastic.
Out,
So it's like,
incredible in Get Out,
yeah,
and
it
obviously
is what
Idris
it
is
is.
incredible. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so you leave. All right, so
But
let's
I do
just.
think it sounds better, and people like it because it's different. You gotta remember, a lot of times the people who cast them are American.
Yeah.
And
Also, I remember like I was talking to Jackson Pace about I forget that Brody in Homeland he's British, right? Like Damian Lewis, and like but
yeah,
he said he was speaking his American accent. I think on set. I think he said that.
McNulty, Dominic West, he's British.
Damn, they're really infiltrating the industry. Like, wow, I forgot about. I mean, I don't even know if I knew that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're really infiltrating.
Yeah, like you won't even know unless you like really pay attention to
He's
dancing.
speaking his. Well, I guess you guys weren't on the same scenes. I guess, huh? Where
No,
he
but
probably
he's I
wouldn't.
mean, he talked like he was American. He's supposed to be from Baltimore.
Yeah, yeah. I just meant like, yeah, like at if like on set, like in between takes, because that's just
Oh
interesting.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, but we have scenes together.
yeah. Okay. So wait, I was still caught up on this whole Atlanta thing. So like you leave, like so you come, so you go to. How long were you with JD and Janet? Like a couple years?
Yeah, I was out there like a year and a half. Then I came
And
back.
you were living with them, right? So you must
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
living good. Like Jay, I mean, I remember growing up. I remember when all like I feel like everyone kind of finds out about producing at the same time because like
yeah,
my friends like would be in middle school. They'd be like, "Yo, like Manny Fresh makes more money than anybody," or they'd be like, "Oh, like Scott Storch actually makes more money than or whoever." Oh, JD, like they're like, "Yo, JD makes more Swiss Beats." Like people kind of found
yeah,
out, producers get a piece of everything. I remember like
yeah,
around that time, so he must have been living like were y'all living like
yeah.
crazy,
I
like
mean, because
craziest
I
house.
was out there the years he did Confessions. And the years he did, so we went to all the like Usher Confessions tour shows, and then what
I'm
else?
just saying that like the house that y'all were living in must have been
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah, no, it was dope. At first it was a
Like on some
condo.
MTV Cribs type of thing.
Yeah, at first it was a condo, but it was like a 2-floor condo. It was like it was in the same building as like Elton John and a bunch of other crazy people.
Hey, Elton John lived in Atlanta?
Yeah, he got a place in Atlanta.
Oh wow. Okay,
And
so
it's
then y'all moved to a house,
yeah. And then yeah, then he moved into a house, and then when I came back down, I stayed in the house for a bit. But,
and then you started a while and got kicked out. So then you
yeah,
did the Wire. That was like one season, I guess
yeah,
one or two.
and then
So
I did that, came back, did what did I do? Did have my Sweet 16, did that whole thing. Then I did a bunch of guest spots, ER,
oh yeah, I mean that's why
Cold
like when you see
Case, all that kind of shit.
yeah,
Um,
working actor. I mean,
yeah,
low key, like that's one thing I think people don't realize. Like working actors, like people who just do a guest spot here, like that's hard because you're going up against. Because I think people think of actors as like, oh, like you have maybe you have your own show or you're like
yeah, nah.
a series regular, but even just
If
popping in
you
and popping in,
and
like
if you're not on a show, then you're just trying to pop in, and then also you're going into a new infrastructure every time. It's not like comfortable, like because like these people they do this weekly. You're just popping
yeah,
in.
oh yeah. I mean, it's like a family. Like I remember, like just Blackish, like we're everyone's together all the time. Especially the kids, like they're really bonding. Like those people gonna be those kids. They can be friends for life.
Oh
Like you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like 'cause they grew up together.
we spend so
So
much
yeah, I
time.
can't imagine like popping in, but like you get, like people, I think you get paid, like those little guest
Yeah,
spots. I'm sure they add up, like just to
no,
do,
no,
one
they're
here and one
good,
there.
but then they also are just good to just keep the momentum, keep your IMDb fresh, keep you working. So it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, people keep seeing you, and
yeah.
then they also can lead. I know people a guest spot might lead to what's the one that's before series regular, like
Yeah, you co-star first year
yeah,
co-star.
one of yeah, whatever. There's I know there's like I know like series regular is kind of like the
Yeah,
everybody's kind of working
then
towards.
you could be recurring.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of,
Yeah,
recurring,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you start to do recurring and all that stuff. So, alright, so you just
Recurring
been
is
so
dope. Though. I like recurring roles because what I like about recurring roles is, I mean, obviously it's better to be a series regular because you make more money. But what I like about recurring roles is like you can do more than one in multiple different places if the time sync up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you do other shit, it's like, oh no, I show up for what, a day, and then I'm able to get my scenes knocked out or whatever usually, and then
Oh, and then, like,
I don't have
another
to be here the rest of the week. Like, sure, you
but
might lose out on $8,000 that week because of that, but like, you still walked away with 15, so you're like,
yeah, and
whatever.
they put a they basically put a hold on you, right? Like, that whole week, right? I think, like, they
Yeah, they'll either put a hold on you, or
you could
they'll,
do more?
sometimes they'll put a hold on you, but sometimes if it's like the episode's written where it's like, oh no, we just need you for this. Like when I was on Suburgatory, sometimes they're like, oh, we just need you for this lunchroom scene, and like the whole episode, you go to the table where you barely in the episode, you got like 2 lines. Like, all right, bet that
Does it ever get old? Like
once that
like,
you know the day that you're shooting that, you're like, all right, that's Wednesday, bet, cool, show up, knock it out. You're free to go. You got the rest of your week. Like you're not stuck. But like I said, I like it because if you're doing other shit, like you, like how I do music, I have all these other things. Like, oh,
oh, right.
I can really be doing X, Y, and Z. Or even like I said too, like you're not held to a show because once you're series regular, like you're on that show. Like there's no
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
other.
can't. Yeah, does it ever get old? Like in the sense of like, because I feel like for me, like being on set is always lit. I mean, that's one thing I miss about. I mean, I love The Simpsons a lot. I was getting paid a lot. It was great, but I
Yeah,
think that like set, like I miss the energy of set, like going to walking around. I mean, in Blackest I've been in the writers' room mostly, but just sometimes in between, you walk by a set and there's Lawrence Fishburne acting, and there's Anthony Anderson, there's
yeah,
Tracy Ellis
no,
Ross, and there's
that's cool. But it's also like once again,
it's a
it,
job.
it's dope when you could. It's dope when you can do a certain amount of it and then pop
Yeah,
out.
but I mean, I guess what I mean is that like
Unless
you
it's
like
unless it's like a. I feel like with movies, I feel like it's more fun because it's like, okay, I'm about to commit this 2 months to this,
yeah.
and then I'm
But I
done.
guess I mean, is it more like does it ever get like do you still walk on set? You're like, damn, I'm really getting paid to like
Oh yeah, yeah.
or
No,
is it or
every
does
time
it
I
is it
do it, I'm appreciative, bro. Like every time because
right?
you're like you walk on there, you're like, holy shit, like man, like or sometimes you're just looking at it, you're like, this is wild, like this is like someone would kill to be here right now. And even though
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't like I've been on a better show. That like fuck all that. Somebody would kill to be here right now. So like, do it justice. You know what I mean? And show up everybody who's like you, who's sitting at home and who's gonna watch it and be like, man, I could have done better than like, nah, nigga, you couldn't. Like, cause you want people to just sit there and watch and go, oh damn, you know who's this guy? No, he's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
you want that, you know what I mean? Like that, and that's the goal. So it's like,
Yeah. I wonder like I think that's one thing I feel like when I was on Black is like I lost a sense of wonder at some point where I'm like, because I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for X number of months. Like I see Tracy S. Ross every day, Lawrence Fish when I see him, but like there's a point where it's like, wait, this is like crazy. Like I'm getting paid
yeah,
well to like, you know. I think when I was on the Simpsons, I don't think I ever lost the wonder there because I think it was always like, yo, this is an
yeah.
American
And
institution. Like
that
this is
show's been ingrained on in you for so
yeah,
long.
it's but I think it's interesting to me. I wonder, like because actors like you, especially if you're a working actor where you're popping in here and there. I wonder if like does it ever get older? It's like yo, like I'm freaking like that. There's my name on the call sheet. There's my name on this trailer. Like this is this is like a dream, really.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, like,
That's
but also, you know, the time it took and what you put in to get that. So,
that's real. So okay, so then you got more into hip hop, right? And also I saw you're doing EDM too, right?
yeah, I did dance music for a while. Still do it, like, ghost produce some stuff here and there. But, like, I was making dance music for a while, did some stuff on some Tiesto albums. And then,
Oh,
and then started getting into, like, doing a lot more ads and movies, did some stuff in, like, the Teen Titans soundtrack, all that. Had,
oh wow.
had a couple songs in the first Purge movie, a song in Euphoria. And these were,
What's
like,
that like? Oh snap, bro! I didn't even
yeah,
see it. That's why I like. I feel like I'm learning things about people I already know. So
yeah.
how'd you get into the Euphoria? Like, what was that like?
I started doing like a lot of music for like film and TV like 2015,
And
16,
was it
and
just like a natural thing where you're like, nah,
it
like
was
was it
something
just
I've always
organic?
wanted to do, and then it kind of just fell into place, and then I just still to this day, like I'm still very like pointed at like trying to like figure it out and navigate that too. So It's
That's
like, yeah,
lit, man.
it's just finding
So
all the angles around the industry that where where you can be valuable. Whereas like I think like a lot of people just look at I'm on the TV or I'm not on the TV. And it's like, nah, there's a trillion ways to do this. Like,
I
there's a lot
mean,
of ways to, make a not there's a lot of ways to make a living, but there's even more ways to like make a living and actually be well off. Like you just have to know your skill set and find new and creative ways to use said skill set. Yeah.
that's lit. Well, okay, I guess what's next? Like, what's next for you?
Man, well, I did 2K this year. Well, I did last year, but I'm in the new NBA
Yeah.
2K, and so I've been doing a lot of got a couple small parts on some cartoons coming up, which would be cool.
Hey, no, honestly, I feel like no part is small. So,
Yeah. But
because
like,
having seen
not
what it
crazy
takes,
maybe, but like
yeah,
this is another phase of like something else I'm trying to build.
yeah. No, I mean, because I've seen like having seen that you have to like to get even a quote unquote small part, you have to beat out a
Oh yeah,
thousand people, right?
yeah,
So,
but it's also one of those things like, bro, I've been beating out niggas since I paused. I've been beating out niggas since I was like
6,
5, 4. Like,
5.
you know
Well,
what I
no,
mean? It's
that's
one of those things like, it's just more of it, you learn over time too. It's like as cliche as it sounds. It's like, yeah, the shit you're supposed to get if you're prepared, you'll get it. Like so much of it is based on like what, like also just the vessel that you're in. So it's one of those situations like prime example. There's mad shit I don't get because I'm still short and I can't grow a full beard. So if you put me next to a nigga who's 30 years old, you're not gonna buy we were in the military together.
that's so interesting.
See, you know what I
Like,
mean?
it took me a long time to be able to grow
And
even
that's what
this
I'm
little,
saying. It's like it's very different. And then even if I still look like this, but I was like at least like 6. This motherfucker might be 6 foot also. So now if he's 6 foot, I'm over here 5'7", and I don't have a full beard. I look like this nigga's little brother.
Although it's funny, I would say I feel like a lot of famous people are short. Like a lot of
They
like I
are.
mean, well,
You got to get
not.
in
To, I
the
mean, I
right
know he has
spot.
his drama, but Tory Lanez. Who else
Yeah,
is?
that's music.
Who? I mean, just Kevin Hart.
Yeah, but he's a
Um,
comedian.
yeah,
Different.
no, that's true. Yes, short is more for
Yeah,
comedian. That's true.
you most people who are quote unquote. I mean, there's a lot of movie stars who are short, but a lot of people who are
Yeah,
like,
Matt. Tom Cruise, obviously.
yeah, but most people I feel like in today's times they're like even if they're not tall, they're 5'11", 5'10". Like
Yeah, no, that
at
makes
least,
sense. That makes sense.
and they look older than they are, like for sure. Or
Yeah.
they're playing way younger than they are. It's like it once you get into that like 21 to 26 range, 25 range, if you like look young, it's weird because it's kind of like you're not a college student, but at the same time, you're not a doctor and you're not a lawyer.
That's so. I mean, it's funny. Like one of my first kind of Hollywood actor friends was Kofi. Like he was my roommate. Like
Okay,
we were
yeah.
roommates, and then like seeing
And
him go
what's
from
wrong? Every time I see him, I'm like, it's baffling that you're younger than me. Like it's
but he used to not have a beard. And he used to look like a kid,
no,
like a child. And then
I
he just
know.
overnight he grew this beard, and he looked like he became
And
this
it looked
sex
like they
symbol.
became grown sexy. Like it's like,
Like
whoa,
overnight,
like
overnight.
this happened. Like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, and like respect. That's my dog. He of
Yeah,
course.
of
Like
course.
I'm just like it's crazy because even like I said once again, myself looking at it, I'm like, damn, you're right. So like, there's certain people you can put him next to, and it's just more believable. But it's just like vice versa. If you're trying to do a height, or like a young, we're all freshmen in college thing. You can't really put him there. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
he just looks too grown. But when the growner you look, the more like the media roles you can start getting.
Yeah,
You know?
like he definitely gets like some more meaty, like, and that's
Yeah,
his personality too is just kind of very almost like dark, and
dark in
like
you.
yeah, brooding almost. Well, that's what's. I mean, oh, the last topic we get out is I always end on dating, man. What's that like? Because I feel like I was talking to Jackson, like I always keep bringing up Jackson Pace, and like I was talking about like what's like you're on Homeland, and because he was talking about basically he didn't want kids to know because Homeland shot somewhere like the Mid Atlantic, like maybe like close to Baltimore or like
Yeah,
Baltimore area or
on
whatever.
East Coast, DC,
Yeah,
Virginia.
East Coast, and like for a while, like, he didn't want people to know that he acted, right? Like he went to school, like he would just call out certain days to shoot, but he didn't, And I was like, yo, what is it? Like? Did they started treating you differently? Like the girls want you, just like so, like, he said. I remember asking like, what's that like dating when you're on a hit show or just you're an actor, because you know somebody wants you for you, they just want you because they saw you on TV.
Yeah,
And he said that he can't really know, he can't really answer because he's only really dated people who are also in the industry. So I was like, oh, I guess that's one way to kind of avoid
that
that
is one
problem.
way
But
to
like, what is
do
it? Because for you, you're on Jay Leno as a kid. You're on
it.
the.
Yeah,
I mean, you're on the Wire.
I
Although I
never
guess
I never dated anybody who was in entertainment, but I think that's more because like it's a little. I feel like a lot of times it can be a little too much. Like they like once again like we can't both be in this motherfucker taking no's every day. Like you know what I mean? Like because
yeah, it could be.
some days I'm not gonna handle it that well, and I've been doing it for 28 years. You might not handle it that well because I guarantee you ain't been doing it as long, and I guarantee you that you're you're expected to do this at a whole. So much more, and that's what another reason why I know it's so tough for women too, because like so much more is expected of you. Like I just gotta like just say the lines right. You feel me? And don't
Yeah,
show up looking just ugly. Like you know what I mean? But it's like it's not too much more than that. Like with them, it's a whole different. Like oh, we're like. Were you not the lead because you weren't sexy enough? Like that's some shit you really got to think about, and that's like, damn, like that's unfair because she might have killed that audition.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas it's like, so it's like I know that's a whole another dynamic that I would have to like. I
Yeah, and
don't know.
also
I
acting
don't know how to navigate
performance.
that. That's tough.
Yeah,
That's tough.
performance can be dramatic too. So like two strong personalities, it can be
Right.
combustible.
And it's the same. And
So
it's the same if she's an artist too. It's like we're both artists. So it's like, or if she does music or something, it's kind of like man. So like now, like once again, if part of your brand is you blow up and you do da da da, like you still trying to chase your brand, and you're like that's too much for me. Like I kind of I, I I haven't found the thing that works yet, so maybe I should go try dating actors or something. Shit,
yeah,
like
what's it with? I feel like with normal people, is it like are they like oh like you're Randy Wagstaff, you know
no.
like no
What girl under
Watch the
the age,
Wire?
what girl at at 25 is Watch the Wire? Like stop it.
Yeah,
Like I'm
that's
saying,
I mean
it's
you've
like
been in
that's
other. I
like
mean
that's no, that's a my dad always talks about that show, or that's a my brother likes this, or that's like I've heard of it, or that's like no, I've never heard of it. And I'm only saying that because it's like it's if they are not 30 or 28 or 30, bro, they're you turn it on, they're like exactly what you said earlier. This looks old. It's like they don't know that. Like they'll know like Fear the Walking Dead sometimes. Or
oh
they'll know
yeah, yeah.
it's like but it's certain kind of
I
projects.
I I
They're just
I
not
just
the
feel
like
like
they're not the clickbaity projects. That's what I mean. So it's kind
yeah.
of like now if I was on Grownish, oh my God. Like stop it. Like every girl would be like, I know you from Grownish. I know you because once again, it's like it's a different era thing. Like
But I feel like LA is okay. Because when did you move to LA? Because you went because you were with
oh nine.
JD in Atlanta. Oh
Yeah.
nine.
Oh nine.
Okay, so you moved there
I was like
after.
17, 18, yeah.
What was that? I mean, that must have been crazy going to. I mean, Chicago's Chicago, but LA is like
Yeah, but I moved.
epicenter.
I just, it was time to make the move after I graduated high school because it was like, it
Yeah,
was,
I just know that when I moved, because I was 23 when I moved, and I was like, I'm, I was outside. I was like,
yeah. No,
oh, that
so
was the era.
I couldn't go outside for a second because I wasn't 21. But
Oh
then
yeah, yeah, that's true.
I was out.
All right, but so you date normal people, but I mean, but I feel like LA, like because entertainment is such a driver of the city, right? Like I could see somebody just being like hyped that. I mean, maybe not. I guess nowadays it's about athletes and rappers nowadays,
Not,
huh?
yeah, and not only that, bro. We have Instagram now. It's a whole different thing. I know your value. What's your Instagram? What's your screen name? I know your value.
Oh, mine?
No, no, no.
Yeah,
But my
yeah,
point is that's the conversation.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, so
Oh,
they're
I know who I'm dealing with once I go here. Okay.
right. So they're measuring you off of that, not just like, oh,
Yeah,
you were
I'm
on the
well.
wire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generally, like, bro, nobody. We're in an era no one really cares about anything unless it's like
It's right now.
popular. Yeah, like if it's not
Yeah, no,
popular,
I feel that. I feel that. Well, that's what's up, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna check out 2K. I'm gonna have to go back to that U4 because I mean, I think it's dope. Like, because there's that whole idea like jack of all trades, master of none. But I think nowadays people like, no, I act, I sing, I rap, like
it's
I
funny. Let me put you on some game.
produce.
We can end it on this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
So you ready?
got,
Okay.
you got a beat.
I don't want to misquote it, but people love to say the jack of all trades thing. Master
Oh,
of
like the
none.
full line, right?
Cool line is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Oh wow! See, let's end it up. See exactly. So I mean, I do think we're in this era where people are
Well,
really.
see, we've been in an era where niggas like to read the first sentence and not read the second one.
I mean, it's
And
like
there
I
you
mean, but
go.
you think about Jamie Foxx, right? Like Jamie Foxx, like comedian,
That's a good movie.
singer,
Donald Glover.
actor, Donald Glover.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of people who do it. It's you know what it really is. It's I feel like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who are just like, they try to do a bunch of stuff and they never get
Yeah.
very good at any of it, and they just kind of like jump around. But I feel like anybody who puts X amount of time into anything, like they can get great at it, and especially if they have the right opportunities, they can get great at it. So, um, I think most people look at it like it's all about what you want out of it. And I feel like some people really just want to be like, there's some kid who's like, I want to be the greatest race car driver ever. And that's that. I want to be the greatest race car driver ever. That's all he cares about. That's all he's ever wanted to do. That's it. There's another kid who only wants to be the greatest basketball player ever. That's all he wants to do. The same thing. Then there's a kid who wants to be the greatest basketball player ever. And he hurts his knee. And he goes, shit, my life's over. Thinks about checking out. Then he's like, something changes. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to still, coach on the team until I can blah, blah, blah. Then he
Yeah.
realizes, holy shit, I'm a fantastic coach. And he goes, wait a minute. And then he reassesses the game plan, rewrites the fucking play. And now one day he's coaching the fucking Super Bowl.
No, that's
So
real.
there's a million ways to get there. It's just the problem is, if you don't start with the first step, you won't be exposed to all the other ways. It's like anybody who's never been on a set, they might think, I have to be on TV or I have to be directing it. There's nowhere else for, or I'm a
Oh
writer.
yeah, I mean, you could be you could be a production assistant. You could start off.
Bro, you can do fucking crafty.
Yeah,
You
craft
feel
service.
me?
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
million
Food.
ways to get on a set. It's just what way is going to make you happy and what way
Yeah.
do you want to do it. And and I think you can't even know that though until you're exposed. And the only way to get exposed is to start and to try.
To start. And also for the audience, crafty, that's the craft services of the food on the set. They supply the food, and it's very good food. Sometimes it's not very good, but it often is.
I mean, if you want a good show, then it's good.
Yeah. Well, being on a good show. Oh my man, being on a good show is just like I compare it to like being on like at a startup. Like if you're at a startup that's just getting just hot, like it's about to get acquired by, like everybody's getting married, everybody's having kids, everybody.
Google year number 7. Shit is sweet.
Yeah, everybody's just happy. Everybody, like no one on a show that's like a hit show. Everybody's happy. Everybody's getting married. Everybody's getting kids. Everybody's getting money because they're getting paid royalties from the last season, the season before that. Like it's beautiful. It's a
Bro,
lovely thing.
you wake up showing up knowing, okay, by the time we finish all these episodes, I'm talking about like the actors who really get paid. By the time we finish all these episodes, I'm gonna see over a million, and that's gonna be by the time we wrap up these episodes. Then I'm still seeing residuals from last season, plus the residuals that are coming for this season, plus God forbid we're on season 3 because we already got season 1 in the bag, so we're still seeing those residuals. Plus we got all the fucking the appearances that we can do,
And then you're gonna, you go to season. You go to season 5. You go into syndication. You might get bought. The TBS, Comedy Central, or I mean, obviously streaming now.
We on
So
TNT.
yeah.
We on TNT every day. Like, bro, like this, like Seinfeld. You can
It's
always turn
beautiful.
on TV and Seinfeld's on somewhere.
Seinfeld's on somewhere. The Simpsons on somewhere. South Park even.
Family Guy's on somewhere.
Family Guy paid. I mean, well, you see some of these shows. These shows paid for a lot of houses, pay for a lot of educations, pay for a lot of cars, pay for a lot of dinners, pay for a lot of dinners. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, you just
it's a beautiful. I mean,
it's a beautiful thing when you're on the right side of it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing I love about entertainment is that like you just need to have like not need, but if you can have like a hot 3-year stretch, and you're like if you have a hot even like music, like I mean, this is probably a bad example, but like Lil Pump is gonna eat forever off Gucci Gang. Like he's
well, I don't know if he's gonna eat forever off of Gucci Gang because I don't
or
know.
Whoever owns.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
whereas
whoever.
TV, at least because you're in a fucking union, that money's always going to be accounted for. And at the end of the day, like You make the prime example. If I wasn't to spend my money like an asshole, if I were to be in the first 3 movies of a good Fast and Furious reboot, and I'm the star of it, low key, I'm good for the rest of my life. If I'm
Yeah,
not,
I mean,
I'm not
if
getting.
you see some people who like were like a
Oh, by
lead or
the
like
way,
a
my
series regular
laptop about to.
early. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, no, my shit's like going.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well, if you see, so I'll wrap up with this. Some of these people are on like a lead or a series regular, like a '90s show, like Seinfeld or like Friends, like good forever. But anyway, I mean, look, it's not just about the money. Obviously, the money is great, but yeah, I think more people. It's good to put more people on game about the industry. It's a very opaque industry. But yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out for your name in the credits, not just on the acting side, but on the soundtrack side, on every side. But no, I appreciate you joining us, man. Good to
of
have you,
course,
Maestro.
man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, and we got to do it. Well, one day we're gonna have to do like a episode specifically just on those 2 years, however many years with I know some things probably you can't say, but with JD and Janet, that's a whole
Yeah,
show, that's a
that's
whole
the
TV show.
whole. Yeah,
Um,
fact.
but yeah, all right, man. Thank you.
Love, bro.